Hey, how's it going, guys? So today is finally the day where we install the Mazdaspeed6 brakes on the car. I got everything, rotors, all the hardware, some chemicals and things like that, and it's time to get started. So here's everything right here. Obviously we have the calipers that we did in the last video. They're all resprayed and they look really good. I have Corksport Mazdaspeed3/6 brakes, and then I have R1 Concepts slotted rotors, and I also have some of the hardware. We also have brake hose washers, .3 fluid, and some simple brake cleaner. Alrighty, so here's a simple size comparison here. Mazdaspeed6 rotors right here, and then the Protege5 rotors right here. The size difference is really big. So to actually run these new rotors and calipers, you do need to have a 17-inch wheel. So I do have that, and these RPF ones have a pretty, big offset. So I shouldn't have any issues fitting these new calipers. Alrighty, the first step is simply to raise the car up on both sides, and I'm gonna do that right now. Alright, here's a better look at the current brake setup we have. So this is a simple, just eBay set of rotors and pads. The pads, I think, are on their way out. They haven't been working very well lately. So it's definitely time to upgrade, and it's definitely going to be a very good upgrade. Alright, the only things that I think are holding this caliper in is just kind of two bolts. We'll see how it is when I take those two out. So here's a little bit of a better angle. As you can see right there in the center of the screen is the second bottom one. Alright, yeah, so I was right. It's simply just those two bolts, and now it looks like the caliper is pretty loose. So if I can take it off, just like this, just slide it off, and the caliper is now loose. So that's just hanging there. If your rotors are, you have never replaced them before, they're going to be probably seized on here. But there's a little bolt that you can thread into if you find a bolt, and then it will simply come right off. So here's our old rotor, and our caliper is just hanging right here. So the only thing it's hanging on to is the actual brake line. So we're gonna have to take that off, and we'll take a look at our old pads and stuff like that. So I just took my current pad off right here on the Protege. As you can see, almost had no life left on this thing. So it's definitely a good time to upgrade. And yeah, these eBay pads, you get kind of what you pay for. They work for the time being, but it's definitely been good to have some good bite on these new pads. Alrighty, here's the difference between the rotors. Obviously, this is the old Protege one, and this is the Mazdaspeed one. Huge difference. So here's a little teaser of what the rotor looks like. It looks absolutely massive compared to the old one in there. So yeah, here's the caliper right here. We're gonna take off this little clip right here. So I'm just gonna grab a flathead and just gently kind of pry it out. You don't want to scratch up the paint or anything like that. But yeah, so alrighty, once that's out, the caliper and the bracket itself should be able to come off just like that. And then now we have these. So these are little rubber bits that we're actually going to replace right here. So all I'm going to do is simply get a flathead and just kind of gently push it out. Just like that. And then very easy just to take these out. Don't worry about kind of ripping them or anything like that. So yeah, here's the new little rubber bit. The part with the little edge right here is the side that goes in. So this will be, facing the outside of the car. And all you simply want to do is obviously just kind of push it in. You could probably use some grease, but I'm not going to use any this time just because I already did it and it worked out pretty well. So you just have to kind of push it in there and simply do the other side as well. Alrighty, and once you have both of those in, all we're going to do is grease up the pistons on the actual bracket itself, put this together, put the caps on there, and this thing's good to go. And to grease it, all you want to do, simply just grab some grease and put it on the pistons, There we go. Got those new things in there. Looks really good. It's time to take the caliper off, the old one. So I'm just gonna get my impact and break that thing loose. So, you know, you are gonna have some brake fluid and stuff going everywhere. So here's the difference between the two calipers here. As you can see, I think this one was OEM painted, the bracket itself, but I did paint this one obviously. But yeah, big difference between the two right here. This one is pretty small, but they're not too much different in size. So just kind of a much different design in general. I did forget to mention that you will need to cut or bend this little bracket on this little brake line right here if you're going to continue using the stock Protege brake line. Yeah, I actually did end up cutting it and it came out pretty well. As you can see, it's cut and no longer that little bar is going to get in the way when putting the caliper on. Another thing you're going to want to do is to spray your new rotors with some brake cleaner because they're going to have some grease and stuff all over them. So you're simply just going to spray it, get that grease off, and use your brake parts cleaner for brakes. Alright, with the pads themselves, I've noticed that there are two different pads. So this one with the top clip right here is actually the back one. This will snap into the caliper. This one right here is the outside one. Don't forget to put these things on and then to grease them up. Alright, so the best way to put these new calipers and rotors and pads on is to obviously install it after you've cut the nub on the brake line. And then what you're going to want to do is to grease up your pads, as I just showed you. Put the pad in there, and then what you're going to want to do, you're probably going to want to use your old pad actually, that is to use a little clamp like this to press the cylinder all the way in, and that way you have the most clearance. And then I'm going to put both pads in, slide it over the rotor, and then we should be good. Just like that. Now we have both pads in, and then we're going to slip the rotor right underneath. Alright, I'm going to grab your rotor. Put that on, and slide your caliper with the pads on, and then bolt it into the back right there. So I got everything in here, everything's tightened down, the bracket, the banjo bolt, the rotor's in here, and it does spin. I did have to do this because this was how far it was. I had to do that because there's so much tension right here that on this line right here. So I have these zip ties holding it right there. It's definitely ghetto, but you know, it's metal on metal, and I don't think it should vibrate and break off or anything like that. Yeah, and that's it, guys. So it was a little bit of work, and I did have to struggle a little bit. You know, hands are getting dirty. But it's time to go on the other side now. I think I'm just going to time lapse it. I'll bring up any notes that I, didn't cover on this side, but I'll show on the other side. If not, it's as simple as that. And then we have to bleed the brakes, and then I'm going to go test drive it. So yeah, second side is done, no leaks, everything like that, all cleaned up and tightened down. So yeah, now it's time to start bleeding it. So yeah, as you guys just saw, just got the second side done, so now it's time to bleed the brakes. So you're gonna need someone else to do this, or you can use a bleeder tool, I think, but the easiest way is just to simply have someone else press the brakes. They'll press it a few times, hold it, you open it up, and then you let it bleed out, and then yeah. A lot of videos and stuff online showing you how to do this. It's very easy, but I'll show you a little bit. And to help me bleed the system, all I have is just a little bit of a vinyl tubing that goes into like bottle or something like that. So connect your vinyl tubing to your bleeder valve, and then have that go into your tank or bottle or whatever you got. All right, pump it. Yeah, and that's basically it. So you're gonna want to bleed the brakes, and then after that you're gonna want to bed them in. So you're gonna speed up to 35, slow down to 5, do that 3 times, and then go up to 55, and then slow down. And you want, after you do that, you're gonna want to be slow with the brakes. Don't do a lot of braking and stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically it. So they do look really good on the car right here. As you can see, it really fills up the space of the wheel. Not a lot of clearance between the brake and the wheel itself, but it's definitely a really cool look. And yeah, but I'm gonna be honest, I am having troubles with the pedal feeling really squishy. I've started to bleed the black ones, but it's still not enough. So I think I'm gonna upgrade to steel lines and get an actual proper good set. And then I do have a braided clutch line that I'm gonna do as well. Maybe go upgrade to .4 fluid, but other than that, that's definitely the install right there. And I'll do another video if I do the brake line. Alrighty, and that's it. So I hope you guys have a great day and enjoyed the video. Make sure to drop a like and any questions down below, and subscribe.